Hello and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for today's press conference brought to you by the Seattle Department of Education and Early Learning, also known as DEEL, to announce the award of nearly $3 million to more than 3,500 of our city's frontline workers who have been caring for our kids throughout the pandemic. Today, you'll hear from DEEL Director Dr. Dwayne Chappelle, Council President Lorena Gonzlez, Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda, CEO of Tiny Tots, Hicks-Maxie, CEO and founder of Kids Co., Susan Brown, and from Kids Club, Fune Tautala. And we'll kick off things right now with Director Chappelle.
Yes, thank you. Welcome again. And thank you for joining us today to announce the child care recognition payments in appreciation of our child care workers and their valuable service to our children, the families throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. As Kamaria mentioned, I'm Dr. Dwayne Chappelle, the proud director of the Department of Education and Early Learning. Today, my remarks will be extremely short, because I'm excited to hear from all of the amazing community of child care workers and advocates that are here with us today, because the reality is they are the ones who have been on the front lines of the pandemic, serving our children and families from the start of COVID-19. Child care is essential to our lives. With everything closed, when schools went remote, our amazing child care providers, they never shut down. They never shut their doors. Our child care workers, many of them who are women of color, kept our city running so that parents who had to work could do so, knowing that their kids were in a high quality and nurturing environment. We know how important that is. They overcame enormous challenges to care for our children while navigating their own personal hardship that was caused by the pandemic, including the trauma of systemic racism. But despite the crucial services that they provide, we know that they are not paid livable wages, and inequities persist throughout the industry and in Seattle, not just in Seattle, but nationwide. But at DEAL, we're working to address these inequities. In 2022, we're partnering with the county the county and the state on a new cost care analysis. This study is going to look at what the true cost of childcare is here in Seattle to align with regional subsidies and build a long-term strategy that will advance educational equitable wages for our workers. As an education and city leader, there remains to be much more what we can do to move the equity forward in the child care space. Increased state and federal investments as part of President Biden's Build Back Better plan would be transformational for childcare. I think we would all agree, which is why continued advocacy for investment in childcare on all levels is urgently needed. Yes, thank you. While that advocacy is ongoing, DEAL, we are committed to supporting our community-based providers, investing in programs that increase access to affordable care for families in Seattle, and advancing equitable living wages for our workers. So I just want to thank Mayor Durkin, City Council President Gonzalez, who you see here, Councilmember Mosqueda, who you see as well, for working together to uplift these heroes in our community. I want to thank Child Care Resources for your partnership to ensure that these payments will be provided to the workers in time for the holiday season, and just the greater Seattle Child Care Business Coalition for their important advocacy to make these payments possible. But most of all, I think you know this, I really want to thank the child care workers for their service to children, especially during the ongoing COVID-19 public health crisis. So thank you for everything that you all have done and continue to do for our children and families in our amazing city. So with that, I will now pass this over to our Seattle City Council President, Lorena Gonzlez, who has, as I mentioned earlier, who's been truly committed to advocacy of childcare and working families with young children throughout her time in office. Again, thank you, and I'll pass it over to you, Council President.
Thank you, Director Chappelle, for that warm welcome to us all. I really appreciate an opportunity to be here with all of you on this very, very exciting day. Of course, as the chair of the Seattle City Council's Education Committee and a parent to a toddler in childcare, I'm absolutely thrilled about today's announcement that will continue to boost our support of childcare workers. I know firsthand the amazing work our childcare workers do to care for our kids, and the challenges that face childcare workers certainly pre-exist COVID-19, but have been exacerbated through this pandemic. So as a policymaker, I recognize that the childcare system operates as a broken market in the full sense of that word. It is nearly impossible for our providers to make a living wage, and it is becoming increasingly challenging to find affordable and accessible, culturally competent, linguistically appropriate childcare in the city of Seattle. Every level of government, federal, state, and local, has stepped up in the last year to work towards addressing our childcare crisis, which again pre-existed the pandemic, but the pandemic has really shone a light on who bears the burden of this crisis, and that is our childcare workers, most of whom are women of color, many of whom are immigrant women as well. So without addressing the childcare crisis, it is my deep belief that we cannot build back better, and that our recovery from this pandemic will be extraordinarily challenging. That's why so many of us on the City Council rolled up our sleeves to build much needed stability in the childcare sector to benefit not only our families and our children, but providers and workers and the small and large employers who need workers back at work. The City Council prioritized using the City of Seattle's limited resources over the last 2 years to support childcare workers to stabilize childcare providers. And in this year alone, my office led the effort to provide $6 million that will help center-based and home-based providers, shout out to SEIU Local 925, receive needed funds to renovate or update their facilities, which will help them stay open, and it will help providers across the city to expand more nimbly, more quickly, the number of families that they can serve. So it's my hope that our city, state, and federal government will, in this very unique historic moment in time, continue to prioritize the supports and the funding needed to build a robust and healthy childcare system, one that supports our childcare workers, our providers, and the families who are in need of childcare as a key component to how they recover and how we continue to be able to build resilience and opportunity for our youngest learners and the women and the men who serve their needs. So it's my pleasure to have had an opportunity to work with all of you as I close out my term on the City Council and as the chair of the Education Committee. What a legacy we have been able to leave behind. And I know that this work is in good hands, in the hands of my colleague, Councilmember Mosqueda, and of course, Director Chappelle, and all of the amazing staff at DEEL, and all of the frontline workers, our heroes who've been delivering these services to our youngest learners and our families. My deepest gratitude to you all, and I hope that this small investment is one that will have great impact for many years to come. Thank you, Director.
Next, we'll hear from Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, friends, community, we're here to celebrate. This is a huge day, a huge opportunity for us to appreciate those who care for our most vulnerable, and that's kiddos in our community, within our families, who we care for and cherish. And now we have the opportunity to appreciate them through this appreciation pay. This is a huge thank you. It is a huge recognition and an appreciation note for the childcare workers who have done so much during this pandemic to care for working families, care for our kiddos, and by extension, care for and invest in our economy. I was so honored to have been able to work on the $3 million to provide appreciation pay for childcare providers with Council President Gonzalez and with the Mayor's office as we finalize the Seattle Rescue Plan. This piece of legislation, the $3 million for direct allotments to childcare providers, goes to those who care for our families, who provide safe places for our kiddos, and who make sure that they are giving them a good start to education and health, and whose work makes other work in the city possible. Childcare workers deserve our deep respect and appreciation always, but especially during this time of the pandemic where they quite literally have put their lives on the line and whose livelihoods rely on being able to work during this time but need additional pay, recognition, and appreciation. I'm so thrilled that this is a note of future work to come, a note of the important work that they do, and a commitment to continuing to increase and invest in childcare providers as a strong industry that we should be supporting, a strong sector that deserves respect, and not only respect, that deserves good living wage jobs, as Director Chappelle noted. I'm so thrilled that these over 5,300 childcare workers will receive these recognition payments in this moment where we must recognize those who are essential workers and the important role that they provide in caring for our community and helping to provide the educational start that will lead to healthier communities, healthier families, and individuals over the life of our kiddos in this community. This is a huge moment as well for us to just take a second to celebrate the work that Seattle has done. We are on the national stage. In fact, Brookings Institute called out this investment, direct payments to childcare providers, as one of the most innovative ways to use COVID relief dollars from the federal government. I'm proud that we were able to do this, and it wouldn't have been able to be possible without the incredible work of community members. I'd like to thank the partnership of those in the community who are advocating and are represented here today in many ways, the important work that they have done to lift up the need for this, including the Greater Seattle Child Care Business Coalition, Child Care Resources, the Economic Opportunity Institute, Seattle Chamber of Commerce, Moms Rising, SEIU Local 925 again, and individual child care providers and owners and longtime advocates in the community, like those like Angelia Hicks-Maxie, who's here today, who we'll hear from. I also want to thank DEEL. I want to thank the Department of Education and Early Learning, the leadership of Director Chappelle, and the incredible work with community partners of Monica Lang Aguirre from the Early Learning Department, who had provided a lot of time in working with community partners to make sure that these dollars got directly out to those who are most in need. And that is shown by who's getting these dollars. 77% of eligible child care providers applied and are receiving these dollars. And these dollars, as Director Chappelle noted, are going disproportionately to support those who work in child care, disproportionately Black and Brown community members, workers who are more likely to be women, women of color, and immigrants. I am so committed to continuing this extension of work that we are showing here today, our appreciation for childcare providers, by making sure that we're investing in stability in terms of wages, childcare affordability in terms of support, and equity by making sure that we're increasing access to high quality childcare across this city. I want more childcare centers to be opening than doggy daycare centers, and I'm committed to working with all of you to deploy those dollars that the council president noted in terms of capital and infrastructure, as we also invest in the human infrastructure that is our childcare providers and making sure that they get this appreciation allotment today. Thank you so much for all you've done, childcare providers. Thank you for caring for my kiddo, Camila, at Alki Beach Academy, and the workers there who've been working day in and day out to care for families across the city. We will continue to fight for quality, accessible childcare. We will continue to make this possible for generations to come so that more people have access to high quality, affordable childcare in their neighborhood, and that more workers can see childcare as a good living wage job that provides stability and opportunity for all. It's incredibly exciting, and congratulations on the $835 right before the holidays. We look forward to working with you to do even more in the years to come. And with that, I'll turn it over to the very one and only Angelia Hicks-Maxie, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Got that mute mic working here. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to Council President Lorena Gonzlez and to Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda and for supporting CB 12093. I think that is the actual bill. And to the other city council members for voting to send it to Mayor Durkin and her signature. A big shout out to Mr. Dwayne Chappelle, the director of the Department of Education and Early Learning and his incredible team, including Division Director of Early Learning, Monica, and her team for the seamless implementation. My name is Angela Hicks-Maxie, and I am the CEO of Tiny Tots Development Center, which was founded by my mother, Helen Hicks, in 1969. God rest her soul. She went home to be with the Lord in 2018, but she taught us to never give up and to always continue the fight. Tiny Tots has 5 site locations, primarily in the south of Seattle, and this spring we'll be opening a new site with partnership with Odessa Brown and Children's Hospital. We're really excited about that. But I am most proud that I am a member of the Greater Seattle Child Care Business Coalition, a coalition of some of the most dedicated child care professionals I know. The Greater Seattle Child Care Business Coalition, in collaboration with the Economic Opportunity Institute, staffed under the leadership of John Burbank, advocated for these funds as a way to show appreciation to the men and women who have toiled on the front lines of this pandemic. Our early learning programs kept our doors open when the Seattle School District closed. We did this so that first responders and others who make up the economic framework of our city could have a safe place to leave their children while they work to keep the community moving forward. We pivoted to create remote learning programs in our school for the school-age learners. We had no idea how to do that, but we did it. Literally placing our lives on the line, caring for children every day. Even one of my staff members' husbands said, "I don't think you should go there. I'm scared for you." And she said, "I'm going to be okay. Angie's going to take care of us." The pressure. Our collective strength inspired and supported the resilience of this coalition. We laughed together, we cried together, and we thrived together. We appreciate the city of Seattle that recognizes the sacrifices made by the early learning and out of school time coalition of childcare centers and for giving them these recognition payments. Thank you again for these grant monies for the childcare staff, because this is a positive influence that allows them to know that the city cares about what they did during the most difficult period in our lifetime. We're still going through, but this will let them know that you care about them. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the hands of Susan Brown, who started with just a simple message. Can you guys join a Zoom call? And from there, we were born. Susan?
Thanks, Angie. That was terrific. You did a great job. I appreciate everything that you do. And thank you to everyone else. Well, my name is Susan Brown, and I am the founder and CEO of Kids Co., a nonprofit childcare organization with 11 locations that are co-located on site at Seattle Public Schools. Kids Co. has been providing high-quality preschool and school-age programs since our inception in 1989, and we've continued to do so during the COVID-19 pandemic. This marathon of a pandemic is testing us all in ways we could never have imagined. The Greater Seattle Child Care Business Coalition rose up during the pandemic to help childcare programs meet every challenge and continue to provide safe, high-quality childcare programs that families can rely on and trust. I proudly serve as one of the lead conveyors of this group. The Greater Seattle Child Care Business Coalition members advocated for these child care recognition allotments we are celebrating today by meeting with several council members, DEEL leadership, and the mayor's office. Thank you to everyone who had a hand in making recognition payments possible for the hardworking members of Seattle's childcare workforce. Our teachers stepped up to serve during a time of crisis, and they definitely deserve this fiscal recognition and any other ways we can show appreciation for their service to our local community, our families, and our kids. Child care programs have not only kept our economic system afloat during this ongoing pandemic, but many sites changed hats and supported the education of kindergarten through 5th grade students when schools moved to a remote platform. Our services are vital for all families with young learners along the birth to age 12 continuum. The pandemic showed us that public school is not only an integral part of every child's education, but for some families, it is also part of their childcare solution while they go to work and school. The service we provide is not a luxury or a convenience. It is necessary to our area in having a firm economic foundation and future. Recovery is dependent on childcare. Our field deserves a much greater investment from business and government organizations. We are part of the fabric of Seattle's public good. We look forward to continuing our work with the City of Seattle's Department of Education and Early Learning Leadership and staff to strengthen and fund the child care sector in our city. Having done this work for more than 3 decades, I know there is work to do and there's work to build on. So thank you all for the opportunity to share our story and for the work that you're doing on behalf of childcare families and kids. And so now I'm going to turn it right back over to Director Dwayne Chapelle for some additional remarks. Thank you.
Sorry,
Before
we're
we do
going to
that,
go
I'll pass it to
We're going to
Fune.
do one more. We've got one more. We've got one of our hero childcare workers with us today. Fune Tautala from Kids Club is next up in the line to speak.
Hello, everyone. It is truly an honor to be a part of this and listening to everyone. I'm just so grateful to be here. Thank you so much. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to the City of Seattle for recognizing our hard work during this challenging time. It is no secret this past 20 months has been difficult for plenty of families all across Washington. During that time, families slowly started to return to work and desperately needed childcare. It has been nothing short of a miracle we have been able to provide that care for families. I have personally felt a great deal of pride for providing that care. The experience I have received from doing so is a unique one-of-one experience. Last school year, I was able to develop truly meaningful relationships with all of the kiddos in our program. Honest relationships that I'm still reaping the benefits from today. The kiddos trusted us with helping them with their schooling while also providing a fun environment that they would look forward to coming back to on a day-to-day basis. I am honored that the City of Seattle is recognizing our hard work with this grant. Its timing is amazing. My holiday will be a great one thanks to the support of this grant. Also, a huge shout out to those who advocated for these resources to reach us. I'm glad there was an emphasis on what we do and a realization that our work is important. Thank you again, and anytime you would like to donate money to support childcare employees, I will gladly speak on this platform in this way again any day of the week. Thank you to everyone for this. I am truly, truly grateful.
All right, thank you very much for all of the speakers for your wonderful and warm remarks celebrating this rich heritage of childcare workers. Next, we will open up for Q&A from the media. If you have a question for any of our speakers, please enter your name and media outlet in the chat, and we will have you unmuted so that you may ask your question. See, Paige Cromwell from Seattle Times has a question. Sage will unmute you.
Is for the providers. Have you talked with your employees about these payments, and have they told you how this will help them directly and what they might be spending the payments on?
This is Angela Hicks-Maxie responding from Tiny Tots. And yes, all of my staff are abuzz and afloat. They are like super excited. As soon as we applied for it, I informed them and I told them that I've applied for it. wait, it'll be coming down the pike here. And now that they know that Mr. Chappelle, he had to sign every last one of our DocuSigns. And so once he signed them, Child Care Resources said, funds will be flowing in. I said, you guys are going to get this money just before the Christmas break. They are excited. Many of my staff have told me that this is going to help them with late purchases that they have put off, so that they're excited about that they can do some things for the kids. There's a couple of staff who have said they're going to use it actually to help them do things that they have put off, like some important things that they wanted to do around their house, some improvements. So they're like, this is right on time. So everybody is excited. But I'm going to tell you what is more important to them than really that this money is coming to them. When I told them that the city of Seattle wanted to give them a recognition payment for what they have done through COVID, literally every person was so thankful that somebody stopped to take the time to appreciate what they've been putting themselves through for these last 20 months. We didn't really know what COVID was when it first hit. And we were out here with no masks, no gloves in the beginning, just doing a job. We learned along the way what to do, but we did it all together. So to recognize that somebody looked at them and said, we appreciate you, that is really what they are most appreciative. So again, thank you to the city of Seattle.
Okay, it looks as if we have answered all media questions. I will turn it back over to Dr. Chappelle to close us out.
Yes, thank you. So in closing, I want to say what Ms. Maxie just mentioned about we've done this all together. As she mentioned, it takes all of us to make sure that our families and kids are going to be supported and that they're going to thrive. When I say all of us, I'm talking from council members, mayor, DEEL's amazing staff, our amazing CBOs, the SCI 925. There's a collective of us. It takes the collective to make this happen for our kids and families. And this is just an example of what happens when we all work together. So I just want to commend you all and thank you all for bringing this excitement to not only our cities, but to our amazing workers who deserve this. Because ultimately at the end, it's only going to make our students even, or should I say our young, vulnerable, precious children stronger for when they become older and they step into the real world of being a young adult. So again, thank you all for this collective work. And I appreciate your support. And again, it takes us all to make this happen. So with that being said, we look forward to continuing to support our families and students here in Seattle, because Seattle is the place to be, and we're gonna continue to model that. Thank you all.